Hello, welcome to The Gripe TV. I am your host, JP Forte. Today I'm giving the world's most horrible people title to the head of the United States Fish and Wildlife Service, Dan Ashe. Dan Ashe is an extremely crooked official who favors certain special interests over the welfare of wildlife and the will of the public. Recently he made a certain statement that he basically supports the slaughter and extermination of certain kinds of wildlife for the favor of special interests. If that wasn't bad enough, the tone he took on that was very much like he was talking down to the rest of the public. You know, as if we're children that don't know any better, and, you know, he's the big man in charge, and, you know, he's like the parent figure who knows best. You know, I've noticed that with a lot of public officials lately. And it's obvious that they have forgotten exactly what their role of being public officials actually is. Basically, they are supposed to be public servants. They are public servants. Their job is to do what the people want. Not what they think needs to be done, not what certain special interests think needs to be done, but what the people think needs to be done. But instead, they try to act like they're the big people in charge, and that they're going to basically do it and run it however they want and how their special interest cronies want. You know, and they take this attitude almost, that's literally what it reminds me of. It reminds me of like that they're acting like, I'm the parent, you're the child, you do what I say in my house. That's pretty much the attitude they have. And, you know, it's time for us the people to stand up and say no more to this. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to be showing you on my computer his exact statement, and basically what a lot of those of us that work in the field of wildlife rescue and wildlife advocacy have to say about it. Okay? So here we go. Now with my camera on the computer, this is the statement that Dan Ashe made. Conservationists must accept a world with fewer wolves, salmon, and spotted owls to favor economic development. Dan Ashe, Director, USFWS. Not only was this a very arrogant statement that he made, but also our wildlife is literally being slaughtered and exterminated to favor the trophy hunting industry, the fossil fuel industry, and the ranching industry, and a couple other special interests as well. Meanwhile, other countries have found ways to develop their economies without harming the wildlife and using up too many of the natural resources. In response to this statement that Dan Ashe made, there is an open letter that has been written in response to him, and here it is. And I'm going to read it to you right here. Open letter to Dan Ashe, Director, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, July 23, 2014. Mr. Ashe, we would like to respond by this open letter to recent publicity of your public comments at a roundtable discussion with members of the conservation community. The statement in question was, in your opinion, that in a giant clash of those who favor conservation and those who favor economic development, that conservationists must accept a world with fewer wolves, salmon, and spotted owls. This is unacceptable, sir. We are at a point in history where our industry is no longer able to use our natural resources without the consequences of consumption being clear to us in real time. The wisdom of our native heritage and a number of historical American conservationists, including Muir and Leopold, have cautioned us to respect our wildlife, but as vast and as green as our land was, it seemed that our resources would always be limitless and human restraint could be postponed. We can see the consequences of a competitive and consumptive policy now. Our critical apex predators are slaughtered for the special interests of livestock, fossil fuel, and trophy hunting. Our wild mustangs, who despite reintroduction are essential to our ecosystem and our national heritage, are slaughtered for the interests of livestock, fossil fuel, and yes, sometimes trophy hunting. Americans and other wealthy entrepreneurs have perpetuated this consumptive lifestyle in Africa. Lions and elephants are killed for no other reason than the fun and money of someone who likes the feeling of killing animals. All these keystone species are in danger of devastating population losses and loss of genetic viability, with little benefit to anyone other than those special interests. Human populations are expanding, which should mean that it is even more critical now, not less, that we initiate ecologically sound policy. The food industry can shift towards healthier practices that does not rely on cruel subsidized factory farming and use of public lands that displaces our wildlife. Jobs can be created in green energy. Non-lethal sources of wildlife observation have been proven to support the conservation of an ecosystem, not merely breeding for trophy hunting, which the majority, including many hunters, find offensive. The misuse of our animals and natural resources is not for the benefit of the people, but for a few, and is not justified as a means of our survival. Doing the right thing can no longer be postponed for the immediate financial gain of special interests. The right of the individual voter to be represented is in question. The overwhelming majority of voters support ecologically sound preservation of our ecosystem with the necessary keystone species in place. This is a valid and well thought out opinion, which is circumvented by persons who are not subject matter experts with the best interests of individual citizens at heart. These appointees are influenced by special interests, lobbies with large sums of money to exert undue influence. This is prevalent at both the federal and state level. Our founding fathers intended to prevent an oligarchy, not enable it, balancing the rights of the individual against the rights of the majority. Current policy serves neither the rights of the individual to a healthy, non-violent lifestyle, nor the majority right to a future with a viable planet. The latest sportsman package intended to drive families and their pets out of public parks for the benefit of recreational hunters. This was a proposal that never should have been asked. This land is supposed to belong to that family. We want our wildlife back. We want our animals and our land protected for our shared future. We want our rights back. The Administrators of Protecting Endangered Species, 23rd of July, 2014. The time has come for us to stop letting these supposed to be public servants push us around, you know. The time has come for us to stop letting them do that. And the time has come for us to change the way our wildlife policies are done in this country. And that's pretty much all I have to say. And that's basically about it.